What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This is CJ Talk Sports, aka Christian Jones. And today I just want to kind of give my story, my backstory on Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Now, I've been a supporter of Daniel Jones pretty much ever since he was drafted. I was very surprised that the Giants took him at 6 overall. I had all of us heard that they were very invested in pass rusher Josh Allen, but at that point, I so wanted the Giants to take a quarterback just so we could finally start this rebuild process properly. Okay, could you argue Josh Allen was the best player at that point on the board? Absolutely. Was he our biggest need or one of our biggest needs? Absolutely. But I had grown so tired that Gelman had taken this band-aid approach in solving the team that I felt like Gelman just ripped the band-aid off. Okay. Eli does not have it anymore. Okay. He's not washed. He's cooked. He's punch drunk. He's just had the holy hell beaten out of him. Okay, no matter how much talent you put around him, Eli, I just don't think could get it done anymore. Having said all that, again, did I think the Giants were going to take Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick? No. But I was pleasantly surprised that Gelman finally wrapped his arms around a quarterback and just totally invested in him. Now, whether had that been Dwayne Haskins or Drew Lock or any of the other quarterbacks. But with Daniel Jones, as you guys know, there was a lot of media backlash. Oh, so many people were not so many people from pundits to fans were not in on this pick. Me, however, again, I was very pleasantly surprised. Was I watching Duke football when Daniel Jones was in college? No. Okay, I wasn't. I don't think any of us was watching Duke football in preparation for the NFL draft. I saw some clips on him and I'm like, I like him. He's okay. But then once we drafted him, I decided to take a heavy look into Daniel Jones. And I loved almost every bit of his film. He has a good arm. He's very accurate on the deep ball. I love his size. Okay, he's very athletic, very mobile. Daniel Jones, to me, judging all the quarterbacks in that draft outside of Kyler Murray, was the safest pick among all the quarterbacks. He's got the right size, mobility, he's accurate, he's got a good deep ball. And have any while he didn't have any impressive stats while he was in Duke, he also didn't play with much talent. Like, I don't think Duke had another player drafted outside of Daniel Jones in that draft. Forget first round, drafted. So the way I look at it is that Daniel Jones is already going to come in knowing that he has a lot to prove. Okay, everyone is doubting him. And he's not going to, unlike Kyler or Haskins at the time, he's not going to come in for the honeymoon phase. No, he's going to have to prove it to us right here, right now, whether or not he could play. Now, I thought he could play. As a matter of fact, he reminded me a lot of Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill. Good arm, not spectacular. So, I was always a believer in Daniel Jones' talent because, you know, he reminded me of a lot of other young quarterbacks that had been taken before him. Again, to me he reminds me a lot of Ryan Tannehill and excuse me, Matt Ryan. Good arm, but not great. Has the right size. It's very accurate. And if you put the right talent around him, Pro Bowl level quarterbacks. Now again, maybe not worth the 6th pick, but my feeling has always been, regardless where a quarterback is taken, if you believe in him, if you believe he's going to be a franchise caliber quarterback, if you believe Daniel Jones is the successor to Eli, take him and don't look back. Okay. Now the better question now is, how are the Giants going to groom him? How are the Giants going to mentor him? Because none of these quarterbacks are obviously finished products. And so when Daniel Jones got picked with the 6th overall, there was a lot of backlash towards him. People saying that, oh, he's more of a backup, not even worth being picked in the first round. Day 2, you were hearing all this stuff. That Daniel Jones was going to be no good. It was a mega reach at number 6. Having said all that, it reminded me of a draft just a few years prior. I'm talking about the Patrick Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky, and Deshaun Watson draft. Coming into that NFL draft, everyone was just sold on Deshaun Watson. He was the quarterback that was can't miss, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion, should have been a 2-time national champion, and just probably the safest pick of all the quarterbacks taken in that draft. Of course, Chicago made the mistake of taking Mitchell Trubisky at trading up from number 3 to number 2. Now, I like Mitch. I thought you could argue he's the second best quarterback in this draft, but not worth picking in the top 5. But then you get to the Chiefs. And I vividly remember sitting in my living room, watching the NFL draft, Kansas City moving up from 27 all the way to 10. And everyone and their grandmothers thought that they're moving up for Deshaun Watson. And you could have almost write it in stone that Deshaun Watson was going to Kansas City. Yeah, they have Alex Smith there, but Alex Smith isn't their long-term answer. Instead, they take Patrick Mahomes. And everyone was just going crazy. How can you take Patrick Mahomes over Deshaun Watson? He's raw. He's unpolished. He has bad footwork. He has no footwork. Deshaun Watson can't miss. Well, much like what I said about Daniel Jones, if you believe Patrick Mahomes is your guy, then move up for him. And so, again, I'm not trying to compare Daniel Jones to Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes. Of course not. I'm comparing the scenarios between the Giants and the Chiefs. Everyone thought Deshaun Watson was can't miss. No one was projecting Patrick Mahomes to be a mid-first round pick. Kansas City could have easily had gotten him at where they were picking. Patrick Mahomes was projected to be a late first round pick. That's probably where he was ultimately going to go. Instead, he went in the middle of the first round. In the middle of the first round. And Kansas City took a big chance on a raw athlete who didn't prove much in college, a la Daniel Jones. And they bypassed the supposedly best quarterback in that draft to take an unknown in Patrick Mahomes. Judging from that pick, I'm going to say it worked out pretty well. Just my opinion. And so, Daniel Jones had a lot to live up to going into his rookie year. And he performed tremendously given the circumstances. Bad O-line, bad coach, really only had Saquon Barkley healthy for one game. Oh, and not a number 1 receiver. He outperformed Dwayne Haskins in every measurable possible. And I thought if Daniel Jones had stayed healthy, him and Kyler would have been neck and neck for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Without question. Now, I still like Kyler over Daniel Jones, but not by a ton, not by a lot. Okay, Kyler came in with a system built for him. Daniel Jones did not. I mean, listen, I'm sure Pat Shurmur was great for Daniel Jones' development, but let's not act like Pat Shurmur was this elite level coach. Great offensive coordinator, but not a great coach. So the point that I'm trying to make is that Daniel Jones has not been set up, as well as some of the other quarterbacks. Let me compare Daniel Jones to Dak real quick. Now, obviously, Dak Prescott is clearly better than Daniel Jones. Clearly. But when you look at the trajectory of both of their careers, they're very similar. Incredibly similar, I would suggest. Dak Prescott was not expected to start for the Dallas Cowboys at all. Tony Romo gets hurt in a preseason game. Dak steps in, wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. They both popped as rookies. But considering that Dak Prescott was projected to be a mid-round pick, he overachieved. And Daniel, for where he was picked, somehow underachieved. Now, yes, I fully acknowledge Daniel Jones has a fumbling issue, or had a fumbling issue. And so, what I think about Dak and Daniel Jones is that both rookies, both Dak and Daniel, popped as rookie quarterbacks. Okay. Daniel Jones, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, over a 60 completion percentage, and didn't have half the talent that Dak Prescott had on his team. Now, for a lot of people, they're going to bring up the fumbles. Yes, I acknowledge that Daniel Jones had a fumble issue, and you can argue he still does. But, every good young quarterback has had something. Lamar Jackson had a fumbling issue. Peyton Manning had a fumbling issue. Carson Wentz still has a fumbling issue. Baker Mayfield was a turnover machine in his second year. I get that. But those are things that are easily correctable. To label Daniel Jones as a borderline bust just because he has a fumbling issue, I feel as though with the media, they're just playing on with a narrative that, listen, they didn't like Daniel Jones coming out of college. He was a reach. He was a quote-unquote reach at the number 6 overall pick. And so they're looking to find, okay, what's the one or two things that he's terrible at, and let's build a narrative around it. Listen, Daniel Jones by no means is a finished product. Okay, even as the biggest Daniel Jones supporter, I'm willing to concede that he did not have a good second year. He did not. There were things about his second year that I thought improved. I thought he cut his turnovers way down. His command around the line of scrimmage got way better. He started to be a little bit more poised in the pocket. And listen, he's great in terms of running with the football. Yes, I know he had yes, I know he fell down. He tripped over his own feet on that 80-yard run against the Eagles. Okay, I get it. Is it funny? Absolutely, it's funny. Freaking heck yes, it was funny. But let's not make that play the highlight of Daniel Jones' career. He's thrown for He's thrown for over 300 yards multiple times just as a rookie. He's thrown for 400 passing yards as a rookie. Now, let's add to the fact that this past season, new coach, no offseason, new system, battle line. Saquon out most of the year, and he didn't have a number one receiver, and the fact that the Giants had a brutal schedule. So, yeah, did Daniel Jones take a big step down his second year? Yeah. But is there still enough talent in him to where he could be a franchise quarterback? Absolutely. And it brings me to my bigger point where, yes, I am willing to concede that this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones. But I don't like this narrative that it's all on Daniel Jones for him to succeed. Like, are we just going to ignore the fact that the O-line is still a big question mark? Are we going to concede to the fact that Jason Garrett has not been a great OC for us? Now, again, this isn't me making excuses for Daniel Jones. This is just the reality. Okay. Now, again, we surrounded Daniel Jones with real weapons. Okay, Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard are going to be so much better now that Kenny Golladay is here. Kenny Golladay isn't just going to make Daniel Jones a better quarterback. He's going to make Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard better. Now, the reason why I compared it to Dak is because, again, look at the trajectory that Dak was on early in his career. He popped as a rookie, was phenomenal. Second year, he took a big step back. And I remember addressing these issues to Cowboy fans saying, oh, Dak is no good. He's ruining Dez Bryant. We need to bring back Tony Romo and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, people, first of all, Dez is shot. Okay, Dez is cooked. He's not a number one receiver anymore. Okay. And for Dak, in order for Dak to succeed, he needs weapons. Okay, you can. A great quarterback, yes, a great quarterback can make an average wide receiver look good or even great. But for you to rely on a young quarterback to make an average receiving core look legit is not practical. Okay. Look at Lamar Jackson. Now I get, Lamar does not have a number one receiver of his own right. But Lamar has an entire system built around his skill set. Okay? To ask Lamar to play in strictly just a pass-happy offense is not what his skill set demands for. Both Dak and Daniel Jones need a legit number one receiver in order to prosper. Look at the lead that both Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, and Dak Prescott took when they added number one receivers. Now, do you need a top 5 wide receiver? No. Or even a top 10? Probably not. But you need a legit number one receiver. And make no mistake about it. Kenny Golladay is a number one receiver. Amari Cooper, when the Cowboys traded for him when he was in Oakland, was a number one wide receiver. Okay? Smooth around the line of scrimmage. Could play both in the slot and on the outside. Okay? Could stretch the field. You don't think by it's any coincidence that once the Cowboys added Amari Cooper, that Dak took a tremendous leap? Not just from a statistical standpoint, but from an on-the-field standpoint. Yes, they were still mainly a run-based offense, but you need a legit number one receiver to not only take the pressure off your running back, but to elevate your young quarterback. Eli to Plaxico. Eli was good as a rookie, very solid in his second year. Took a huge lead when they added Plaxico. And Plaxico wasn't a top 5 or maybe not even a top 10 wide receiver, but he was a legit number 1. Okay. So again, I don't like this narrative that it's all on Daniel Jones. Because you know what they're going to say. Well, it doesn't matter how many weapons you give Daniel Jones. As long as Daniel Jones is your quarterback, he's no good. You're going to be terrible. And then we give him weapons and he succeeds. Well, it's only because he has these elite weapons. But you didn't say that. You know, that wasn't part of your argument. You know, so to close this out, I want to give a shout out to both Nate Talks Giants, Diggy 546, and the rest of the Giant content creators. Pretty much almost all of us hit the nail on the head. This is a make or break year for Daniel Jones, but we're not going to ignore the fact that he hasn't been put in the best position in order to succeed. First year, bad coach, okay, bad O-line, not a number one receiver, and Barkley was hurt most of the year. Year two, new coach, new system, no offseason, no preseason, no training camp, none of that. Still, bad O-line and not a number one receiver, plus adding to the fact that Barkley was hurt all year. And so, I'm fully confident that Daniel Jones is going to be the guy moving forward. Obviously, I'm hoping that's the case, though we don't have all the answers right now. But I just wanted to reassure you guys on the fact that I think Daniel Jones is going to be just fine. I think he's going to have the best year easily of his career. Okay, I don't want to throw out numbers, but I'm just going to hover around 30 touchdowns to 10 interceptions over a 60, let's say about a 64 completion percentage. And I expect the Giants to win about 10 or 11 games this year. And so, that's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe down below. This is CJ Talk Sports, and I'll see you guys next time.